Yes. Okay, so what are we going to see in today's session here? Okay, it's a beautiful concept and one of the most important topic here going ahead. Okay, something called as constructor. Okay, so this is a very important topic for your interview perspective, for your project perspective, as well as in order to understand the future classes of Java here. This is the prerequisite for it. Okay, so this topic I'll be using it widely. Okay, when we talk about arrays, collections. Okay, so we use this topic here. Okay, when we store the objects, right? So this plays a major role here. Okay, so let us try to concentrate and understand. Okay, what are constructors here? Okay, it's a very simple part. Okay, constructors are nothing but a set of instructions again used for initialization. Okay, used for initialization and instantiation. Okay, what are constructors? Constructors are a set of instructions used for initialization and instantiation. We know what is initialization, don't we? Right? So this is assigning the values. Initialization means assigning the values, whereas instantiation means object creation. Okay, we know how do we create an object, right? So the object creation technical term which we use is instantiation. Okay, and then whenever we talk about constructors, the second point here is whenever we create a constructor here, okay, the class name and the constructor name should always be same. Okay, that's one mandatory rule here. What is it? Always the class name and the constructor name should always be same here. You don't have a choice. It should always be same. That's the second point which we have to understand here. And the third point here is it does not have any explicit return type here. Okay, constructors will never have any return type over here. Okay, and when does the constructor get executed? Whenever we talk about object creation, the constructors will always get executed whenever we create an object here. Okay, during object creation here, simultaneously the constructor will also get executed here. Okay, so these are the few things which we are supposed to understand when we talk about constructors. Got the clarity here? Okay, so now here, what did you understand? Constructors are a set of instructions used for initialization and instantiation. Clear? Now, second point. Okay, whenever we talk about constructors, the rules meaning class name and constructor name should always be same. Okay, and constructors will never have return type, whereas methods had return type. Okay, but constructors will never have return type. Okay, and in order, when does the constructor get executed? Simultaneously, when I create an object, simultaneously the constructors will also get executed. Okay, and then if you talk about the syntax here, okay, if you talk about the syntax, I will show you the syntax here. First, we have to give the access specifier. Okay, we have to specify, right, access specifier. Then we have to write the class name. Okay, or the constructor name and class name should be same. Open parenthesis close, open curly braces close. This is the scope of the constructor. And optionally, I can pass arguments to it. Okay, optional arguments I could pass here. Okay, so this is what we are supposed to understand when we talk about constructors here. Okay, and there are many types of constructors. There are actually speaking two types of constructors. Okay, so imagine this is point number 5 here, the syntax, and the sixth point here is there are two types of constructors. One is called as default constructor. Okay, and the other one is called as custom constructor or user defined constructor. So what is the actual meaning of it? Everything I'm going to do it in a beautiful way, trust me. Okay, so you just need to have the patience level, and I'll just help you out in all possible ways here. Okay, don't worry about anything. Okay, until I'm done, until the end of the session, you'll have complete clarity. Okay, so now here, look at the process here. My requirement is to create a beautiful class. Okay, so I will create a class C class, and the class name, I'll take it as car here. Okay, car. Open curly braces and close curly braces is the scope of the car here. So what did you understand? Class is a blueprint of an object, or it's a platform to store the states and behaviors of an object, right? And what is the class name? And the class name is car. Okay, the class name is car, meaning I'm trying to store all the states and behaviors of car class. Okay, now great. Now here I want to create a constructor. What is rule number 1? Class name and constructor name should always be same, right? Then followed by open parenthesis close and followed by open curly braces and close here. This is nothing but the constructor. You might tell, sir, access specifier, sir. You can ignore the access specifier as of now. Okay, it's automatically default here. We will talk about in detail later. But as of now, you can ignore the access specifier. And I just give one line of implementation. Okay, I just give one line of implementation stating SOP. I just write it as hi, just for my understanding to understand the flow of execution. SOP hi here. And then I'll also have main method here. Okay, I'll also have the main method wherein the execution will generally begin from. Okay, so here I'm just reducing the size here. I'll have my main method, public static void main string array of arguments, open curly braces and close curly braces is the scope of the main method. Okay, and for my understanding, again, I just write it as system.out.println. I just write it as start at the beginning, and then system.out.println end at the last here, end at the last here. Okay, so I have start and I have end over here, right? Perfect. Now here, what am I supposed to do here? What will be my output as of now? Sir, the execution always starts from main method, sir. Start will get executed, end will get executed. That's it. But now, when will the constructor get executed here? The constructors will always get executed at the time of object creation. So whenever I create an object, simultaneously the constructor will also get executed. So how do I create an object? Class name, object name equals to new class name of, and this is called as, okay, constructor call. What do we call this as? We call this as constructor call. Okay, this is nothing but constructor call. Okay, I am invoking the constructor during object creation. So immediately what happens, when I create an object here, I will show it to you. Okay, see, now here when my execution will start from the main method, no, start will get executed. Now when I create an object, simultaneously the constructor will also get executed. So the control slowly goes over here. And what is the output? Hi will get printed. Hi will get printed, and the control will come back to the constructor call. And what is the next line? End. Start, okay, object got created, meaning simultaneously constructor will get executed. That is the reason I get the output as hi, and end here. If you could closely observe, see, class name and constructor name is same. Constructors will never have return type, and constructors will get executed during object creation. So these are the few things which we are supposed to understand when we talk about constructors in a beautiful manner. Okay, got the basic idea of it here, right? Okay, now what am I going to do over here? Okay, I'll tell you over here. Okay, so now in this respective process here, I open Eclipse. Okay, Eclipse is the place wherein the execution, we use it as a platform to execute it, right? So now, so let me create a project here. Okay, let me create, you can just click on this icon, new, and create a Java project, and the Java project name is Constructors. Okay, Constructors. Okay, so there's a beautiful project got created which is called as Constructors here. Under Constructors, we have something called as SRC. Under SRC, let me create a package. Control N. I will create a package, and the package name is com. Right? So project got created and package got created. Okay, and once we are done creating a project and package here, okay, I will create a class, and the class name is car here. Okay, what will be the class name here? I just give the class name as car here. Okay, and the beautiful class will get created now. Right. So now, what do you mean by package com? There's a folder called as com, and the class name is car. So the Java program name will be car.java, that is present in com folder. And class is a blueprint of an object, and public is the access specified. Even if you don't write it, it will work fine. Okay, so it will work fine. You don't have to worry. Okay, so now here, how will I create a constructor? Class name and constructor name will be same. Open parenthesis close, open curly braces close here. So here I write it as, okay, I just write system.out.println. I'll just write one set of instructions called as hello. That's it. Okay, I'm just printing dummy line. Okay, and my execution will always start from the main method, main control space bar. Okay, and now I'm done with this. Now similarly, okay, for my understanding, I'll just have start, and for my understanding, I will have end. Okay, so now when I execute my program here, the execution always begins from main method, and my program has only 2 lines of code, that is start and end. Okay, the main method has only 2 lines of implementation, that is start and end will get executed. But I want to, call the constructor as well. When will the constructor get executed? Sir, when you create an object here, simultaneously constructor will also get created. So what will I do here? I will create an object, car C equals to new car of. I create an object in a beautiful manner. If you want, I can maximize the screen, and when I execute it, look at the output what I get here. I get it as, if I just execute it, I got it as start, hello, end. Why? Start got executed. I created an object, meaning simultaneously constructor got executed, and then end here. So this is an example for, okay, this is an example for non-parameterized. Okay, what is this example for? Non-parameterized custom constructor. Okay, custom constructor. Okay, what do you mean by non-parameterized? Non-parameterized meaning the constructor is not accepting any arguments or parameters. It is not accepting any arguments or parameters. Custom constructor meaning since we have explicitly defined the constructor here, we call it as user-defined constructor, correct? Because I have explicitly defined it into my class. So we call it as custom constructor. So we have one program, we understood one program. Similarly, I'm going to do one more program wherein you'll have better clarity of it. Control N, okay, I will create a class. Okay, I will create a class and it's asking me the class name. I'll just give the class name as bike here. Okay, what is the class name? Bike here. Okay, now here we understood, we have a class here. Okay, now you can ignore this public, as I told you can ignore this public. Now I want to create a constructor. How will I create a constructor? Sir, class name and constructor name should be same. Open parenthesis close, open curly braces close here. Got it? Understood? Now I will just make sure the constructor will accept some argument called as cost. Okay, it will accept one integer argument called as cost, and I'm just printing the respective data here. Okay, cost plus cost here. I'm just trying to print the constructor. That's it. So I'll have my main method wherein the execution will always start from. Okay, and I want to invoke the constructor, meaning mandatorily I have to create an object. So I'll create an object over here. But why the hell is it giving an error, some kind of an error here? It's common sense. Okay, the compiler is nicely scolding us. Okay, it's nicely scolding. Okay, why? Because it's telling, hey, dabba fellow, when you create an object here, simultaneously the constructor will get executed. And the constructor is accepting some argument, right? You better pass the value. Okay, I will pass. Okay, I pass dinga. Okay, but again the constructor, I mean the compiler is nicely scolding us. Why? It's telling when I create an object, okay, when I create an object, the constructor is getting executed, and he wanted one argument, right? I passed one argument, dinga, but why still is he giving an error? He's telling, hey, dabba fellow, I am accepting an integer argument, but you are passing a string argument. How will I execute here? You better pass me an integer argument. So I pass it as 1000. Will it get executed? Yes. Why? When I create an object, simultaneously constructor will get executed and it is accepting int cost. Okay, that's accepting an argument cost which is of type int. Therefore, I am passing 1000. The 1000 will get stored into cost here. So what will be the cost here? The cost will get assigned to 1000. So now what will be the output? Cost equals to 1000 will get printed. Look at the output. Did I get the expected output? Yes. So this is an example for parameterized custom constructor. Parameterized meaning the constructor is accepting some arguments here. And since we have explicitly defined the constructor, we call it as custom constructor. Got the clarity? So this is what we are supposed to understand here. Got it? Understood? You got the differentiation between parameterized custom constructor and non-parameterized custom constructor. Okay. On my LHS, it's non-parameterized custom constructor. Why? The constructor is not accepting any arguments, but I have explicitly defined. It's custom. In the RHS here, I have a constructor which is accepting certain arguments. So it is parameterized custom constructor because I have explicitly defined it. Okay. So these are the few things which we are supposed to understand. Okay. Now, very good. We all understood this concept in a beautiful manner. But now, sir, one more instance I'll give you. Okay. Now, so just try to understand. I have a class called as pen. Okay. I have a class called as pen. And I will have my main method wherein the execution will always begin from, right? So I have a beautiful class, I have a beautiful method, main method, and my execution will always start from main method. So what I do, I will create an object, correct? Now, when I create an object here, simultaneously the constructor will get executed. Correct? When I create an object, this is nothing but constructor call. The constructor should get executed. No, but there is no constructor at all in my class. What will happen here? In the first example, I created an object. I had returned the constructor. So when I create an object, that constructor will get executed. In second example, similar. I created an object. I had explicitly defined the constructor. So I invoked it. But in the third example, in the third instance, I create an object of pen. And when we create an object of pen, simultaneously, what happened over here? Okay, I have to invoke the constructor, but there is no constructor at all. No, there is no explicit constructor at all, right? Okay, therefore, okay, if there is no explicit constructor present inside my class, then there is a person called as compiler. What he does, he will automatically generate a constructor called as default constructor. Got the clarity? I repeat, okay, see, when there is no explicit constructor present in my class, okay, therefore compiler will automatically generate a constructor and that is called as default constructor. Okay, and the default constructor will neither accept any arguments nor has any implementation. So internally something like this would have got created. Okay, so this is default. Okay, this is virtually present over here. Okay, got the clarity? So this is implicitly present. Okay, that is the reason we call it as default constructor here. Got the clarity here? This is what we are supposed to understand here. So every class in Java will mandatorily have a constructor. If you cannot see the constructor, implicitly the compiler would have generated one constructor and that is called as default constructor, which will neither accept any arguments nor has any implementation. It would look something like this here. Internally, implicitly, default constructor is present here. Got the clarity? So this is nothing but what? Implicitly present. Implicitly present. Okay, implicitly present. And who generates it? Compiler. That is the default constructor. This is what we are supposed to understand when it comes to constructors topic here. Okay, so let me go back to the program here. Okay, let me go back to the notes here so that you'll have a good clarity about it. Okay, now first of all, guys, okay, what are constructors here? Constructors are a set of instructions. Okay, see, constructors are a set of instructions, or we also call it as a special methods here. Okay, constructors are a set of instructions or special methods used for initialization and instantiation. It is used for initialization. How? I will tell you. And instantiation, we know it, when we create an object, simultaneously constructor will get executed. And what is the second rule? Sir, constructor name and class name should always be same here. You like it, you don't like it. You have to follow this rule. What is it? Class name and constructor name will always be same here. Did constructors have return type? No, constructors will not have any return type. Did I use void somewhere? Did I use int somewhere? No, constructors will never have return type. And when will the constructors get executed? Sir, you create an object and simultaneously constructor will get executed, right? We have the beautiful syntax. Okay, how do we develop a constructor here? And constructors are generally categorized into two types. What are those? Default constructor and custom constructor, that is user defined constructor. So there are two types of constructors which is available in Java, that is default constructor and custom constructor. Got the clarity here? Understood here? Okay, now here, what is default constructor? Understand. Okay, what is default constructor? Default constructor is nothing but, okay, wait, let me just push it down. Yeah, perfect. Okay, now just read out each and every point. If a constructor is not explicitly present inside the class, then the compiler will automatically generate a constructor, and that constructor is called as default constructor, meaning every class will have a type of constructor. If you don't have default constructor, custom constructor will be there. If you don't have custom constructor, default constructor will be there. Okay, default constructor neither accepts any arguments nor has any implementation. Got it? See here, guys, if in this explicit example over here, see, this is my main method wherein the execution starts. I create an object, no, simultaneously constructor should get executed, but there is no constructor at all explicitly defined. Then what will happen? The compiler will generate one constructor which will look something like this. Okay, which will look something like this here. This constructor is implicitly present, and who generates it? The compiler would have generated it. Okay, so this is what we call it as, okay, default constructor. See, it neither accepts any argument, neither has any implementation. Got it? Okay, sir. Default constructor meaning compiler will generate. What is custom constructor, sir? If a constructor is explicitly defined inside a class, okay? If the user or the programmer is explicitly defining the constructor inside a class, we call it as custom constructor. And they are categorized into what? Parameterized and non-parameterized. Okay, that is what I did in the first and second example. See, I am explicitly defining the constructor, so therefore it is custom constructor, and this is non-parameterized custom constructor. In second example, I have explicitly defined the constructor, it is custom constructor, but this is parameterized custom constructor. Got it? Now here I have a class called as pen. Okay, here do we have any explicit constructor? No, this is implicitly virtually present, the compiler would have generated, therefore we call it as default constructor. Okay, so this is all about the entire process. Okay, now, and there's one more small note which you need to understand. What is that note? Okay, when there is default constructor, custom constructor cannot be present. And when there is custom constructor, default constructor cannot be there. Meaning, inside a class, there can be only one type of constructor. Either it is default or either it is custom. Both cannot be present at a time here. Okay, now, if there is default, custom cannot be there. If there is custom, default cannot be there. Got the clarity? This is all about, okay, the constructors topic.